Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Claire and this is the Basics of Gelli Printing. So gelli printing, it's an art form all about creating unique one-off printed designs. You just never know what you're going to create. It's just the most amazing gift that you get every time you pull off your piece of paper from the gel plate. It's just a surprise every time. It's wonderful. What is gel printing? Well, gel printing is using one of these lovely little gel plates to make prints. So instead of using hard printing stamp, you're using one of these gel plates instead. One of the best things about gel printing is that every single print you make is unique. Every single time you make a print on your gel print, it's going to come out completely different. Even if you do every single step the same, you use the same paints, you use the same texturizing implements, you use the same techniques in creating your print, it is going to turn out differently. And that's because your temperature is going to be different. The way you're using your techniques are going to be different. Something is going to be different. So everything is going to be a one-off, unique design. And that's what is so exciting about this particular art form, is that it always comes out different and you never know exactly what you're going to get. Okay, so we've got our gel plate here. I have 2 gel plates in my stash at present. I do want to get a couple more because one of the things that frustrates me most about gel printing is waiting for everything to dry. If anyone can figure out a way to have that happen faster, let me know. But yeah, so I would love to get more gel plates so that I can work in tandem, not have to wait so long for everything to happen. But anyway, so I have my particular gel plate set up at the moment. Is I have my 8x10 size gel plate, which is what I use mostly for printing on, and I have my 5x7 gel plate here. That one I use mostly as my paint palette, and I also use it to make patchwork printing, and I also use it to make sort of smaller printed strips when I'm cleaning off my plate at the end of my sessions. So what actually is a gel plate? Okay, so a gel plate, as we've talked before, is a squishy jelly textured printing service. As you can see, it's nice and it's very squishy, it's very malleable. It's made out of a non-toxic synthetic oil-based silicone kind of gel. And there are 2 main companies that make them. There is Gelli Arts and there is Gel Press. Now I have one from each company, and I honestly cannot tell the difference between the 2 of them in the way they work. They work just as well as each other. I do know that they make different sizes and different shapes. So it all comes down to what is actually available to you in terms of which brand you will go for. You can get really small ones in small shapes. You can get round ones as well. It all comes down to personal preference. You can also make your own gel plate. That is basically made out of some sort of gelatin mixture. It all sounds too much of a hard basket task to me, so I don't bother doing that. I'm happy with the commercially made ones, far easier. Things that you need to get into jelly printing. The basics of what you actually need to start your jelly printing journey. So gel plate, quite obviously. I started with the 5x7 because I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue on with it. I have one of those very bad habits of when I start a new craft or hobby, I want to just buy literally everything, get it all. So I thought I'd start off small, see how I went, but of course it is an incredibly addictive craft and art form, so I quickly upgraded to the bigger one. The second thing you need is a brayer. Now a brayer is what you roll your paint with on your gel plate. You also obviously need paint, and you need something to print on, paper. They are basically the essentials of what you need to start your gel printing journey. From that point, you can use literally anything, any kind of mark making. You can use paintbrushes, you can use stencils that you've either bought or made yourself. What else have I got in hand's reach? A nice little box of goodies. Bubble wrap, that's a big favourite for gelli printers. Some cardboard. You may have seen this one in some of my previous videos. That is a juicer. Makes fantastic prints, that did. I've got some placemats. That made a really interesting texture. Haven't tried this particular placemat yet, but that's on my list of things to do. This is an ice cube tray. I haven't tried this one yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what those patterns are going to come out like. There we go. There's another one of those coasters that I've used. I love the way that pattern turns out. That looks really cool. This one is I think it's a bottle top opener. I went through a stage of printing with random kitchen implements, and that was one of the random ones that I picked up, but I didn't end up using. This is a biscuit base. So I really loved those patterns with the circles. So I haven't tried that one yet, but that's in my box of things to try. What else have we got? That is an egg shape, I think, from memory. And that, again, circles. Circles are just one of my favorite things. You may have seen this one in the video as well. Potato masher. That makes fantastic shapes on the gel print. What else have I got in here in my list of things? That is a very cool, I have no idea what even that was used for, but I found it in a box of random junk at my secondhand store. Looking forward to using that. I just tend to pick up just rubbish basically and see what it ends up looking like. And this one here, I have used a second version of this. This particular one hasn't used, but this is a piece out of a dishwasher. And those little shapes there, they came up fantastic. Oh, and I just noticed it's got even shapes down the side here as well. Ooh, I want to try that one. Very cool. This is a hook of some description. Again, I picked that up from a salvo store. And look at that amazing pattern. When you start looking for things to print with, you will see stuff literally everywhere that makes the most amazing patterns. So yeah, random stuff literally everywhere. You will find it. You will print with it. It will just start becoming one of those weird quirks of yours. Okay, before we start getting into actual printing, let's work out how we look after our gel plates. Now, when you first buy your gel plate, it will come in one of these, what's called a clamshell case. The best idea is to actually keep it inside that clamshell, because the smaller plates, it will protect it from being damaged. It will come with some thin acetate sheets on either side of your gel plate. You can keep those and store it with those acetate sheets still on it, or take it off. Keep them in your stash to be used for something else. Or I don't like throwing things away, as you may have guessed with all of my random rubbish that I keep. Some people suggest that you can store your gel plates with a piece of paper on either side. Other people suggest don't use that because it can leach the oils out of your gel plate. So essentially do what feels comfortable to you. I tend to just leave my gel plate inside the clamshell as is. I don't put the paper in there. I honestly don't look after my gel plates as well as I possibly should do. One thing you probably shouldn't do with your gel plate is have anything sitting on top of it for long periods of time. You will find that that could indent and damage your plate. If you've got anything sitting on top of it for a long period of time, it could leave divots and things like that. Other people suggest storing them vertically so that nothing can actually sit on top of it. I'm sure you will find something that suits you and your art room, your studio space, that fits well with the way you work with your gel plate. All right, let's get into some printing so we can see how we can use our gel plate for something fairly simple to begin with. All right, so I've got here some basic paint. I'm going to go further into paint choices and things like that in a later video, but we're just going with some very basic paint here. At the moment, we've got 3 primaries, and I've got some black and whites as well to go with our paint. Very, very basic paint. These are nothing special, these paints. You don't need too much paint. And we're going to work on our brayer usage. So your brayer is basically a rolling pin for your paint. It's what moves your paint around on your plate. To actually use your brayer, you don't roll it back and forth like a rolling pin. You need to put it down, roll it one direction, lift it up, put it down, roll it one direction, lift it up, put it down, roll it one direction, lift it up. Rolling it back and forth will just basically push the paint in one, and it won't cover the entire roller. It will just stay in one half of your roller. It won't move the paint around well on your gel plate. So we do that, we move it, pick it up. As you can see, it's covering the whole thing. If we just did it like this, see, it's not covering as well as if we do it, pick up and move it. See, this is actually covering the section much better. Okay. Okay, you can also obviously go all of the directions to give it a nice even coverage. And then you get to the stage where it is really even. You don't have your brayer marks anymore, and it's nice and smooth. So that's where you want to get to when you finish with your brayering. Anything that's left over on your brayer, just get a piece of paper and roll it off to the side. These rolling papers can actually create really nice patterns in themselves. So don't ever waste anything that you create, whether it be a byproduct of what you're actually printing, or obviously the printing itself. The byproducts of what you're printing, whether it be the leftovers on your plate or your roller papers, they can actually create really amazing prints in themselves. So don't ever leave those behind. Okay, we want something to create some pattern. Let's go basics. I'm going to use a tool here to move some paint around on the plate. Nothing spectacular. I'm just basically scraping some of the paint off. There we go. Then we'll take our piece of paper. Now that paint on there is still wet, so the wet paint is going to adhere to the piece of paper, and then we will pull that print off to create our print. So we go rub it just gently. We're not rubbing too strongly at the moment here, just nice and gentle. I'm only using a very light pressing here, and then a straight pull off. Okay, so there we go. We have got our first print. Very basic print, but it's our first print, so it is exciting in that we've actually created something from nothing. And we have a cat. Hello, pussycat. This is Boots, by the way. He kind of likes to check out what I'm doing and create mischief and be annoying. So a couple of things about this print that we will notice. It has a reasonably good coverage. There are a few marks from bits of debris that may have been picked up on the plate. So possibly bits of dirt or something like that. You can see the marks where the tools scraped off the plate. All of these things create interest and texture and design. I mean, obviously this particular print hasn't been overly thought out. It was very basic. But all of these things make for a unique print. And knowing how all of these things are created allows you to manipulate those textures to create things that you actually want in the future. Once you know how they're created and you can actually study how they're created, you can do those things on purpose. Okay. And we've left behind some pieces of paint for our next print. There are a few things that we can do from here. We can either use these leftover pieces of paint from our first print in our second print. I call these pieces grunge, or we can clean it off. It's totally up to you on how clean you want your next print to be. I don't like clean prints. I like things that have got movement and personality and a little bit of interest in the next print that we're doing. So let's try another color. So we can use the blue from the first print, and we can use the yellow from the second. All right, so we're picking up, putting down, picking up, putting down, picking up, putting down. So we're using the blue from the first print plus the yellow from the second print. And there's still a little bit of blue left on my brayer by the looks of it, because it's mixing together to make a greeny yellow. Okay, and so I'm using trying to use a fairly light brayering technique. I tend to push a little bit hard, which also creates some brayer lines. One of the things I need to work on is not pressing so hard with my brayer. And we'll roll off on the side here as well. Okay. And we'll use the same one again. And we'll do the same thing again. We're not doing rocket science here. We're just basically trying to work out how these things interact with each other. And I'm also, again, not pressing very hard on this. I'm just trying to get some pattern and texture, not trying to completely remove the paint. Okay, and again, we will pull straight away. So I'm not waiting for that layer to dry, because I'm using the wet of that layer to pull up the dried blue of the first layer. Okay. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so we can see here we've picked up the leftover blue from the first print. We have mixed that yellow and the blue from the roller, which has created some green. And we also have some yellow in there as well. So we're getting a really nice meld of paint and texture and pattern. We've also got the scratching of the tool is showing the white of the paper. It is also a lighter scratcher is showing more texture as opposed to color. And we're getting some of the nice blue being picked up on the side here. All of these things are working in with each other to create a fairly interesting pattern. Love it. And then we also have some leftover yellow, leftover blue, and they're interacting with each other to make some green. So we've currently got some blue, some yellow, and some green all mixed in with that plate together. Fantastic. We might leave it at that. What I'm going to show you now is how to clean your plate. A couple of different ways you can do that. Cleaning your plate. We'll show a couple of different ways to do it. Baby wipes. Basically, baby wipe, you just kind of rub your plate as much or as little as you want to do. Depends on how clean you want. Now, as you can probably see from my plate, I do have a lot of marks left over from a previous session. I'm not fussy on cleaning my plate. I really don't, doesn't bother me one way or another whether my plate's that clean, because I like having the grunge, and I don't care about having a completely see-through pristine plate. Okay, so I've used the baby wipe on that top third of the plate, and as you can see how much paint it has picked up off. There we go. So it does a really good job of cleaning. It doesn't do a great job of getting rid of the stains. As you can see, it's stained. My plate is stained, but that doesn't affect my printing in any way at all. The second way you can clean your plate is with baby oil. All right, so you can just pop a couple of drops on there, and we'll just rub. Okay, what the baby oil does is it reacts with the paint that is on your plate and kind of loosens it. It also is relatively good for picking up stains that are in your plate as well, but it doesn't get rid of the deep embedded stains because they're actually now stained as part of the gel of your plate. So if your plate is stained, there's really not much you can do about it, but as I said, it doesn't affect your prints at all. It doesn't. Actually, it is picking up the stains a bit. There we go. I lie. See, I don't know everything either. All right. I'm going to. Right, so I'm just using the baby wipe again just to clean off that oil. Yeah, it's gotten rid of those circle stains, so that's cool. It hasn't got rid of the image transfer stain though. But again, I don't really care about that. Oh, look how much that's gotten rid of that. Wow. It is quite amazing, actually, how clean you can get your gel plate when you try hard enough. Okay, you can see I still haven't cleaned this bottom bit here, so we're going to try something different with that one. Okay, another way that you can clean your plate, which maybe I should have done first, but whatever, I like to live dangerously, is you can actually do a final pull of your plate to pick up all those last few bits and pieces. So we're just going to pop just some basic white on here. I like doing this the most because I clean my plate off, and I also get some interesting strips of colour that I hadn't planned on getting, so they're kind of surprising. I'm using a fairly heavy press because I want to get as much of what's on that plate as I can. All right, let's see how we go. There we go. It has picked up everything, so we'll just run over it with a baby wipe at the end there as well. So as you can see, it's picked up the majority of it, cleaned that plate reasonably well, and I've got some nice pale greeny blue pattern paper there. Awesome. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Next video, I will be talking more about paint and how to layer on your prints, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. So we will see you next time. Don't forget to press subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. We'll see you soon.